kids to be the victim. We don't necessarily want them to be the bully, but if we had to pick one, right, we need to pick the other one. We need to pick the bully part. But if victim is where you feel you live, and that's what's happening more often, then we need to do something about that. Okay. I also advise kids not to tell teachers when bullying is happening, okay? That tends to not go well for the child. And if you ask your child, usually the kids say, don't tell them, don't tell them. Do you want me to talk to the teacher? They'll say no, a lot of times. Or they'll say yes at first, then it'll go south quickly and they'll never say yes again. Because when they get in trouble, when you get the bully in trouble, now you got all the bully's friends coming after them, right? You aren't there at school to help them. They're still alone. Now they have gotten this person in trouble that's pretty big and powerful in some situations, right? And now this kid's gonna come after them, which is not the goal. So I never tell kids to tell the teacher, ever. Right? Now, usually I wait for the parent to leave the room. And then I'll tell the kids, don't tell your teacher. Have you told the teacher? Yeah, how's it go? Not good. Why not? Because A, the teacher doesn't do anything, right? Sometimes the teacher doesn't know. Sometimes the teacher's like way too overwhelmed. They got other stuff to do. They have an agenda to follow, right? Or the teacher has no idea what's going on. Or sees it and is like, you know what? We're going to deal with this later, or it just doesn't work out the way the child ever wants it to work out. There's no magic wand to make it stop. Okay. Teaching the kids to manage the situation and not need anybody else to help them manage it is way more empowering for them. This is when we start teaching resilience. And this can be taught in kindergarten. We can start teaching this when they're we can start teaching it when they're really little. Much younger than that is when this can begin. And then the other part about the witness. So there's the witness that sees the bullying. And what they're teaching in the schools right now is that the witness is supposed to do something, that they have to do something. They have to say something, they have to get help, they have to do something in some way. That's just cruel. That's cruel to do to someone else. Because now we're victimizing this other child as if they did something wrong. They are just trying to stay out of it. And the smart kids just need to stay out of it. Right? They need to stay away from this stuff. You don't want your kid's not being picked on, right? You want your kid involved in it now. Right? If this person, the victim, needs to learn how to handle it themselves. What that message tells the victim is that you are still a victim. You are still a victim, and yes, it is everyone else's job around you to take up for you, because you cannot manage your own life on your own. That is not socially appropriate, because it's not going anywhere. If we have to rely on people around us to keep us safe all the time, they're kind of screwed, because it's not real life. Because they're going to get bullied throughout their life. It's just going to look different. We're going to call it something else, right? It's just how my boss is. That's just how he talks to everybody. Well, that's what coaching is all about. That's how the coach talks to us. They need to know that they have control in these situations and that they don't have to rely on everybody else to solve this for them. So we're back to the whole, this is a life lesson. This is something that they have to learn how to manage in order to be successful. Okay, so I do realize that this contradicts what the schools are teaching, right? There has been research done on zero tolerance for bullying and bully-free zones, right? They are research. School psychologists have done this research, and it has all said that it doesn't work, that this doesn't work. But because they don't have an alternative plan, they're like, let's go with this instead. We know it doesn't work, but we got nothing else. So we're gonna go with this. So they know that this system doesn't work. It has failed over and over, right? Because it's not real life, right? Bullying is not going anywhere. okay? So the zero tolerance is kind of crazy too, because you think about the ratios in the classroom again. So now we have one teacher to 30 kids. You can't manage it in your house. How would we expect these teachers to manage it? And then what ends up happening is we set these teachers up to basically be bullies, right? So now their role is no longer teaching and educating and helping with socialization. Their role now is policing. So now they're policing the children. And then they pick the kid, you're the bully. Yep, you're the bully. And then we label him and we tell everybody. And he's identified as the bully. Now, how is this person? Right? How does this person evolve from that? Especially if they get labeled this at a young age. Okay, so the zero tolerance and no bully zone is working as well as prohibition worked, and just say no to drugs. Neither one of those have worked, right? At all. Because this is innate. Bullying is part of how we are designed as human beings. It's not going anywhere. Can we do something about it and make things kinder and nicer? Yes, we can certainly do that, right? And that's what I want to do with you guys, is help you so at least you and your families have a better situation. But are we ever going to make it go away? No. It's kind of part of who we are. Okay. So, bullying in and of itself is an imbalance of power. Okay? So somebody is higher on the chain and somebody's lower. And it happens through all of the animal kingdom, and we are just part of that. Okay? So there's a balance of power. One person wants to have power over another person. Okay? Now, when you lose, they win. When you lose your power, they win more power. Okay? And then they are the dominant one. Right? So this is about dominance behavior. And dominance behavior is also called leadership. Right? Now, when it comes at the expense of someone else, it's called poor leadership. And that happens all throughout corporate America. We have poor leadership happening everywhere. And they're doing it through bad dominance at the expense of someone else. So bullying could have been called dominance behavior instead of bullying, because that's what it is. It's about who's going to have more power over someone else. So the angrier the child gets, the more fun the bully has. Okay? That's how you're feeding the bully and making it more exciting. So if you think of it as a game, right, about winning and losing, all kids can relate to that. So this is when the confident kid kind of goes out the window and is not as relevant anymore. So any kid can be taught about winning and losing because it's a game. All kids understand that, right? So that's how we can present this to all children. Even if they aren't the most confident kids, this will still work because they understand the concept. So we need to empower our kids to be more resilient. And they become more resilient when they experience adversity. So we cannot protect them from adversity, right? This is why we want this to start happening when they're younger, because then they aren't protected from it. I've said this before in these seminars too, that kids need to be exposed to all emotions. They need to feel everything. They need to feel sadness and guilt and hurt and anger. And the more we protect them from all these things, the less advantage they have when they get older, the more dysfunctional they are, the less equipped they are for real life, right? The more often I see them back in my office when they leave for college because they can't manage everyday life in school when they're away from their parent. They have to come to therapy because their anxiety is too high, because they have no idea how to deal with adversity at all. So we encourage this. We want them to feel these things so that they can build up their resilience. So, good leadership, healthy dominance are all the solutions to bullying. And essentially, we're still talking about the golden rule. So, the golden rule is treat others how you want to be treated. That's what this is going to teach. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to do an example with you and teach you how to teach your kids how to respond to bullying. But at the base of what I'm saying is the golden rule. And every religion has some form of the golden rule. It is not just isolated to Christians or Catholics. Every religion has the golden rule in some way. So this is known to everybody. Everybody knows what the golden rule is, right? And the golden rule is part of what we need to take ownership in. As parents, we are the ones that live this and are the example and the role model for our children. So the golden rule is treat others how you want to be treated. Period. Right? Bullying cannot exist when we all treat each other that way. And what's the reality of that? Right? We're not all going to treat each other that way. But that's the goal. That's the goal for us. Right? That's the goal that God has set for us. And in every religion, that's the goal that they have for themselves. So the key is to think of people as a friend and not as an enemy. So if we think of other people all the time as an enemy, we treat them that way. And they respond to us that way. But if we treat everyone as a friend, they will respond as a friend. Right? Even the bully. So if we can treat the bully like a friend, they will eventually respond to us the same way. Okay. So, I do need someone to come be the bully for me. And it can't be a dad. Aren't you feeling like, I am so off the hook, I do not have to get up in front of this woman. Yes, dads, the only reason I say it can't be a dad is because they have a hard time doing it to me. Okay, so you're going to be the bully to me, and I don't want to mess you up emotionally by making you be mean to me in this room, right? So can somebody volunteer? Or honestly, I'm just going to have to pick somebody because I'm that teacher. Okay, come on. Sorry, you were right there. That's what you get for sitting in the front. You should sit in the back.
I think it's sat in the back.